I wanted to share my thoughts on the idea of intelligent life in the universe and whether or not the UFOs that we've seen are signs of intelligent life out there. And this ties back to my last few videos regarding career and work, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of us spend our lives working, and I think we question, I think at one point in any of our lives we question what's the purpose of anything. Why am I going to work? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? What is the purpose? And then we take a step back and ask, okay, what's the purpose of humanity, and what's the meaning of life? I think we've all had that question. And I also think we've had the question of, okay, I'm going to live life this way, these are my goals, but what happens after I die, And I think a lot of us have the idea that when you die, you have some of the answers given to you, whether there's a life after death, what was the meaning of your life. If you're religious, you believe that, you're going to get audited and reviewed, and, you're going to get all the answers given to you by whatever you believe in, a higher being or God or whatever. I think a lot of people assume that when you die, the answers of the universe will be presented to you, and you'll understand what all of this was, right? But I think when you factor in the alien thing and the UFO thing and the intelligent life thing, we assume that these things would be very advanced beings that are able to travel light years across the universe. And I think because of that, I think in the back of our minds, we have this thought that if UFOs did land and contact humanity, they would have answers to a lot of our questions about our existence, and they could give it to us without the need of us dying. And I think that idea is the most fascinating, and the biggest reason why a lot of people are fascinated with aliens is because if aliens did exist, then most likely they would have some answers to the questions we would think would have been answered, or the questions we would think would require death to be answered. Like, what's the meaning of humanity? Where did we all come from? Why are we different from other animals, right? And what's out there? What's out there in the universe? How many other intelligent beings are there? What's the history of the universe? Were there wars? What's going on? Why are we here? And I think if aliens did exist, they could sort of answer that with validity, right? And I think that's why a lot of people are fascinated with this idea, and a lot of us do want somewhat aliens to come down and just contact, because we want those answers and because we're a curious species. Before I move on, I just want to show some UFO images from a Time article. I think these are legit images, but whether or not they're actually UFOs, that is questionable. I'm sure a few of these might have been, staged. Maybe someone threw something and took a picture just to make it look like a flying saucer, but I'm sure a few of these are actually legit too. But I just want to show some of my favorite incidents throughout history really quick. I'm not going to dive too deep because I wanted to make this video short. This is one of my favorite UFO incidents. This is the Phoenix Lights in 1997. This happened over Arizona, where a large fucking saucer-shaped light thing showed up above the skyline of the city. This is a screenshot of a video. The video itself isn't that great because this is basically all you see, and in the video it just shakes, and you can hear people talking and doing commentary about what they're seeing. But what's fascinating is that when this happened, basically the whole city saw it, including police and other authorities, and this whole city asked, I forgot what city it was, but the whole city was questioning, they wanted answers. They wanted to know, what was this? Was this a training that the military was doing, or, what was going on? Was this a demonstration or something? Or was it aliens? And the government, their response made things even more worse for the, or better, depending on how you look at it, look at it. The government response didn't answer any questions, but rather it raised more questions because the government basically treated it as a joke, and they basically, in conclusion, they dragged out their answer. They wanted to stall, but when it came down to the actual answer, it remained that they didn't know what the fuck it was, and it wasn't any military or police activity. There was no answer, and there's still no answer till this day. And a lot of the citizens and people living there, they're just clueless. The whole world is clueless about what this was. And this is a famous story. You can still Google or YouTube this video, and you'll find the original video. Anyways, what makes this incident like one of my favorite is the actual, the image you get. This is one of the craziest photos ever because the UFO just looks so massive, and it's not even detailed, right? It's just a row of lights, but the way the lights are organized, you could kind of draw the shape in your mind, and you could use your imagination and see a large fucking disc flying over the city, and like it's so high up, but it looks like a floating football field, right? It looks like a floating stadium, and it's just like that massive object flying over the night sky, and you don't know what it is. It's like thalassophobia, but in the sky. It's hard to describe, but it's just, I don't know. When I first saw this footage, it triggered something in my brain, and I was just like, holy crap, this is fucking, like, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it was very fascinating, bizarre, scary, and it just triggered so many possibilities of, so many thoughts of what could be out there in my head. And then this was also a very famous incident. This happened during World War II in Los Angeles. Basically, there was this military base. For some reason, they thought something was in the sky, and they were shooting their artillery at it. They were like shooting all their weapons at the sky, and they didn't know what the fuck they were shooting at. All they saw was some lights. Nothing fell down. They still don't know what they were shooting at. All they saw was some lights, and their excuse was it was either just like some light balloon thing or weather balloon, but they were just shooting at something. And at the time, they said it was an unidentified flying object. And, they were shooting so many things at it, and nothing fell down. So, I don't know. It just seems fishy. But, yeah, aliens, basically. This is another photo of that incident. I'm sure this has been slightly photoshopped or something. But this is, if you Google Battle of Los Angeles, this is what you're going to see. And apparently this is the real photo. I don't know if the middle part is altered. It might be to make it look like UFO. I hate when they do that. But everything else is legit. You can find the original photo in many places, and it will look like this. This is another example I just want to quickly show. This is the Tic Tac UFO. I think this was a Pentagon released footage. This was filmed in a military aircraft in 2004 or something, and it was only released, I think, like in 2018 or something. But basically, this was the start of the Pentagon declassification stuff, where for some reason the Pentagon decided to say, you know what, we're just going to release all this military aircraft footage. And this is when the portals opened up, and this is when UFO stuff started going crazy, and it was becoming more acceptable to question and to consider whether we were alone on this planet. It became such a big deal that the New York Times even wrote an article talking about aliens and UFOs. And I think after this happened, talking about UFOs was no longer crazy. You could ask government officials, you could start asking presidents. It was more accepted. And today, I think when you talk about UFOs, people think about it more seriously than a joke. And I think we're all wondering, what the fuck is going on. And also, when this footage dropped, it also brought in the mainstream audience to question, to ask this question more often. Before, it was more of like the weirdos and the people that were just fascinated with conspiracies and weird stuff on Earth. But when this happened, when the Pentagon acknowledged that we got military footage of some weird stuff, and the New York Times wrote a piece, I think that sort of opened the doors for more regular people that were busy with other stuff to also just consider that, okay, maybe maybe this isn't so crazy to think that UFOs might be aliens. All right, but those were just some examples. I just wanted to, before I end this video, I just wanted to give some of my thoughts. And the reason why I made this video is to try and spark some, I don't know, some thought in my viewers. I know most of my subscribers subscribe because of my career talks and stuff, but you know, we talk about career and jobs because that goes back to, you know, living a good quality of life and making good money and doing what you love and trying to have your job work for you rather than you work for your job, because we all want to have a job that we are happy with, and we also want to make a lot of money to do the things we want to do. But when you get to that point and you're able to make a lot of money and do the things you want to do, you're going to have time to think about life. And when you think about life, you're going to question, what the fuck am I doing here? What's the purpose? What's your legacy? And I don't know about you, but when I get to that spot, I start thinking about the universe. I start thinking about how there's trillions and trillions of planets out there, and we're the only species that we know of so far, or we're the only planet that has life on it as far as we know. And I think that's insane. And I wanted to ask the question to my audience is, if aliens did make contact, and let's just say you heard a loud noise in the middle of the night, or everyone heard a loud noise, and you went outside and you looked up and there was football-sized UFOs in the sky, and aliens came down and they projected a screen and they put a message like the Batman sign, but instead it was a message for everyone. How would that alter your life? What kind of question, what would be the first thought to come to your mind? And then the other question is, would you keep your job? Nothing, like, okay, let's just assume, you know, nothing, no bombs dropped, they didn't wage war. All you see is UFOs in the sky, football-sized UFOs, like 10 of them. And then a projected alien message in the sky, like a Batman symbol. Would you keep your job? Or would something spark in your head, and would you say, you know what, I'm gonna do things a little bit different. Now that I have the information that there's fucking UFOs out there, or there's aliens, I think I'm gonna live my life a little bit different. And I think I think most of us, if that happened, we will live our life a little bit different. Even though nothing's really changed, just the fact that the aliens came down. So the question is, why would you live your life a little bit different if aliens came down and there's no war? Why would you make those changes? And I think it's because now you know 100% that life is a lot more vast than you thought, and that you're ready for a transition, right? And I think that existentialism, when you physically see it as a tangible thing in the sky, I think it gives you some validation to change things. And I think that's why a lot of us are fascinated with wanting UFOs to appear and wanting aliens to come contact us. Because I think deep down it's not really about the UFOs, but it's about giving yourself a reason to do something you want to do, because there's a big thing in the sky. Alright, with that said, you know, live your best life. I'll see you in the next video.